Hi, welcome to the newest episode of Sports Talk Central. I'm your host, Adeem Mahmood, with my normal co-host, Hunter. And today we're going to be recapping last week's game, week 2 of the NFL, the majority of the week 3 in the NFL, talk about the Ravens and Steelers games. Then we're going to be talking about Aaron Judge, Albert Pujols, and then we're going to be talking about the Virginia Tech football. So let's first start with the Ravens and Steelers. What were your your thoughts on last 2 week games for Steelers?
Yeah. So, the offense actually looked competent for two drives. They're up at halftime. Defense was not showing up, but I also think they were on the field for a lot lately. And then the second half comes and you start to see more of the same. And it's the same kind of issues. They're not utilizing the middle of the field. The play calling is very suspect. Mitch Trubisky is abandoning clean pockets for no reason. And when you combine all of that together, you get a offense that does not look like it belongs in the NFL, an offense that averages below 19 points per game, which is honestly ridiculous considering where the league is right now. And it's something that, the fan base is just fed up with. I would say I think it's a combination of both Trubisky and Canada not being on the same page. I think, again, Trubisky is not staying in the pocket when he needs to stay in the pocket. And he's just abandoning it way too quickly, which forces him to throw on the run, which sometimes is very inaccurate. He did have some nice throws during that game, but again, he also had some plays where it's like, what are you doing with this situation? And again, Canada, he hasn't been helping the matters. I gave him a little bit of a pass last year because he was with Ben Roethlisberger, and Ben, we all know he wasn't himself last year. And, Canada's offense, it works better when someone who moves, right? Well, now he has his kind of quarterback in place, although I know Trubisky's not that good, but still his kind of quarterback. And the offense is looking the same, if not worse, compared to last year. That's not good enough. If this keeps up, Mike Tomlin's going to have he's going to have no choice but to cut him loose after this season. It has been so long since this team had an actual competent offensive coordinator. Heck, I'm honestly missing Todd Haley at this point right now because at least he could draw up actual NFL concepts.
But Bruce Arians, the last competent guy you had?
Todd Haley for at least a good bit, towards
Okay,
the
so
end.
okay, makes sense.
His tenure went a little sour towards the end, but at least with him, this team would average well over 20 points a game, usually 25 plus points per game. And he actually could dial up NFL concepts that could beat defenses. When have we seen Matt Canada do that? Basically never. I know I try to preach patience. I don't usually try to run guys out the door, but right now it's not good enough. There are so many good playmakers on this offense. Pat Freiermuth, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. You have the weapons. The line has actually been improving as well. Funny enough, the line actually has been giving Trubisky some time, but they're not calling the right plays. And when some of the right plays are called, Trubisky is just abandoning the pocket, and those plays also aren't going anywhere. It is just a tire fire of a unit lately. The third down conversion rate is one of the worst in the league. When the games get close in the fourth quarter, the offense is never able to do anything to get back into the game. We saw that against the Patriots. We saw that against the Browns. It's really bad right now. And if this keeps up, this team's going to lose a lot of games. I was higher than some people were on the team this year because I thought the offense will be a bit better compared to last year. And I thought the defense, would continue to be good. And I know right now it's hard enough without TJ Watt playing, but it's still kind of embarrassing to get, diced up by freaking Jacoby Brissett. I mean, he's not that good. But yeah, just bad vibes right now. I know a lot of the fan base is already calling for Kenny. I get it. Mike Tomlin, he's not ready to make that change yet. He's willing to die on this sword. That's what he wants to do. He sees that. I think he would see that as a panic move by going to the rookie. I think he would only do that if they are really out of the playoff race. If they are 1-5, 1-6, I can see him being okay. We're going to go out here and we're going to make a change and we're going to throw him to the wolves. But right now, I think they see this as they're still kind of in it. They play the Jets next week. The Jets are not good. They got blown out by the Bengals today. I know Zach Wilson's coming back, but the Jets are also really banged up and they're just really poorly coached. I'll say this, D. Steelers going to win next week against the Jets. I don't care if Zach Wilson's playing. There's some problems. That is a very winnable game for the Steelers. They should win that game. I wouldn't say comfortably, but they should win that by at least a touchdown. I don't think the Jets are any good at all, but just bad vibes right now, and they got to start cleaning this stuff up. It's unacceptable to be watching this kind of offense 2 seasons in a row, especially with where we're at in the NFL now, where it's easy to score points. You're seeing the freaking Lions of all teams scoring 20 plus points, and they don't even have a good offense. So, there's no excuses at this point.
Yeah, so I mean, my first thought is, I mean, is there any team that likes their offensive coordinator? Because
That's a good
because I
question.
know Steelers don't. I know Steelers don't like Matt Canada. Ravens fans don't like Greg Roman, even though he's actually been pretty creative last couple of games. Like today against the Patriots, he actually there were a couple times where he did a shovel pass from Lamar to Mark Andrews. You know those shovel passes that Mahomes would give to Kelsey at points.
Yeah.
Greg Roman actually called a couple of those plays. He called a sneak Mark Andrews inside power run last week, like where Mark Andrews would just run across, stop, get the snap, and then he ran for 2-3 yards. So he actually is creative at when he wants to be, when he has the talent. But obviously, last week the big story was the fourth quarter collapse. I mean, let's also be honest here with it.
Hmm.
It was inexperienced rookies. I think the problem is that and I think the issue was there was that one play where Tyreek Hill gets not the 60-yard one, but I think it was like a 40-yard one where Tyreek Hill kind of goes behind. Kyle Hamilton actually plays the inside route, where I think where it's Jalen Waddle, which gave Tyreek Hill the space to go outside. And so he kind of has to learn to play, to take away the deeper route. And if you do give up the inside route, okay, fine, you give up the inside route. But you know what I'm saying, right? Always stop the deeper route, and if the inside route happens, then you have teammates for it. And I think that was the reason that was the play there. Um, they played a little bit more aggressive. Now, granted, when Marlon Humphrey was on the field in that game, they gave up 6 yards per play. When he wasn't, they gave up 12. You can kind of figure out. You could probably figure out he's probably a big deal on that one. Marcus Peters has played last couple of games. They gave up big plays against Mac Jones today, but sometimes it's better to be a turnover playmaking defense than a stingy defense. And in the fourth quarter, they had multiple turnovers. I mean, Marlon Humphrey had an interception in the end zone on one play. Marcus Peters had the game-sealing interception. Josh Bynes had another interception where it was a pass in the middle of the field. Kyle Hamilton forced a fumble on another play. So this is a team that has 7 interceptions in 12 quarters. This is a team that has, I believe, 1 or 2 fumbles in 3 games this year. So they've definitely increased the turnover side. A lot of people have been crapping on Mike McDonald and rightfully so, for the blown coverages, but he has so far created more turnovers than Wink Martindale has. And you got to give him credit. You got to give McDonald credit on that one. Offense, I mean, Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. Devin
Yeah.
Duvernay, 3 touchdown catch. No, was it 3 touchdown catches in 3 games? He's clearly establishing himself as the number 2 receiver. Mark Andrews has been dominant. Rashad Bateman has made some big plays here and there. He did have a fumble on another play, but which may or may not have been a catch or not. Clearly the passing game's improved. And then today they brought it was J.K. Dobbins came back, and Nick Boyle came back, so the run game improved. I believe they had over 150 yards. Or no, I believe
Hmm.
they had almost 200 yards on the ground. Now, obviously, Lamar had over 100, but Justice Hill getting 60 and Dobbins getting 30 or 40 is a welcome sign. We'll see what they do next week against the Bills, who had quite
That
the
was quite
situation.
the game. That is quite the game, is the way to describe it.
But I also do believe next week. I don't think they have. I don't. I think the Bills aren't going to have Dane Jackson. They don't have Tre'Davious White. They're
Yeah.
not going to have Micah Hyde. So I wonder if Lamar's going to take advantage of it. I do not like the fact the Ravens are still getting hurt. In the first game, No, Ronnie Stanley is our starter. He's been practicing, so he might have to come back next week because Juwan James in week 1 at the left tackle position, Achilles out for the year. Kyle Fuller, ACL out for the year. In week 2, Stephen Means, Achilles out for the year. Then today you had Mikari had an ankle sprain, which is thank goodness it was an ankle sprain because that's our and then because we had to bring in our Daniel Faele, who if you remember from the if you watch Big Ten football, the guy has played football for 5 years. He has never played left tackle. He was a right tackle only type guy, and that's what the Ravens kind of developed him as. But they had to put him at left, and he struggled at
Mhm.
first, but he improved later on. So we'll see if he sticks around there left. If not, then it's probably going to be Ronnie Stanley. Um, but Justin Houston was out of the game with a groin injury in the second quarter. Calais Campbell had an injury but came back later. Michael Pierce had an arm injury, but and he was out of the game. So can we just please have one game where no one is hurt?
Hey, well,
That's all we're asking. That's all I'm
tell
asking.
that to Thanos. Tell that to Thanos or
Yeah,
something.
but no, it's gonna be interesting to see what what they do. Um, so what are your thoughts on the rest of the NFL? It could be last week or this week.
I love the witching hour, man. It's always great. The last 30 to 35 minutes of the games, and they twist and turn and go back and forth and back and forth. A lot of very interesting results, especially today. I mean, the Chiefs lose to the Colts, who lost to the Jaguars and the Texans. Like, where is that coming from? The Chiefs just did not look good at all today. The Lions looked like they had a win. They left a Vikings receiver wide open for Kirk Cousins to hit. The Commanders today, oh, I don't know if you watched that game. They looked
Oh my god.
brutal against the Eagles. That is
Does
that is
Rivera stick around for a couple years, or do you think they fire him?
who.
Ron Rivera.
Yeah, he might stay, but the bigger question is what happens with Dan Snyder with the whole
We
situation
all
up
know
there.
where we all have our opinions, so let's just leave it like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's one way to say it. That's just a rotten franchise right now. The fans are basically tired of it all. That Bills game obviously was great. The butt punt now after the butt fumble from Mark Sanchez, so we have that to talk about, which is awesome. Always a wild day in the NFL. I was also keeping tabs on that Ravens Patriots game. I saw Mac Jones's flop that he had. That looked like a soccer player. But I also saw, I think he got hurt. So I hope,
Yeah, he was. He got hurt on that Marcus Peters interception.
yeah, I do hope he's okay. It looked like he couldn't even put any weight on his leg. Hopefully that's not too serious of an injury for the Patriots. I do have the Bucks Packers game on right now, so that should be a good game, even though the Bucks don't have Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, or Julio Jones today.
If you
But
have Fournette in your fantasy lineup, start him.
yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have Mike Evans on my team, so that's annoying that he got suspended, but whatever. It's rightfully so that he did. And then also today, the Saints lost to the Panthers. Like, if you're losing to the Panthers, that's not good. Especially with that situation going on down there with Matt Rule and all the coaching rumors and stuff. The Raiders are 0-3. That they look like a bad team. Josh McDaniels not going well right now in Las Vegas. And that's
It didn't go up well in when he was
Denver.
with the
Denver.
Broncos a few years ago.
Yeah. Yep. And Nathaniel Hackett, he's looked in over his head. I'm going to be really curious to watch that game tonight. And Adita, the funniest thing, of course, Jimmy Garoppolo gets the entire season after he gets benched. So that is, they got lucky. Apparently, I saw today in Rappaport that the Commanders almost made a trade for him, but he scheduled the surgery and was like, nope, I'm just going to stay here. So that should be an interesting game. And then I think the Cowboys-Giants game is tomorrow night. But, NFL's off to a great start as usual. Excited to, watch these 4:00 games now.
Yeah, so my main takeaway, obviously, I want to go to the Bengals and Jets, mainly the Bengals, because I think Joe Burrow myself is an improvement, but prior to today, Did you know Burrow was on pace to get sacked 111 times?
No, I did not.
No, yeah, it was like prior to today. I think someone did the math. It was like he was. So, look, the Bengals have to worry about whether he's going to be another Andrew Luck. That's the biggest fear. And I know they put invested money in that O line, but back what 51 times last year in a regular
Yeah.
the postseason. He's on. Oh, he's now probably on pace to get sacked around 50, 60 times this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this time around, it's way more expensive than what it was when Andrew Luck was around it with the quarterback. It's almost double or tripled what
Mm-hmm.
the annual pay is. So it's going to be really interesting. Um, does the Bengals protection hold up? Because if they don't, I could, I'm good. I'm not going to sign here. But what are your thoughts on like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's still definitely, I think, a big concern, for him, Joe Burrow, at least. And I think you do make a good point that if the line play doesn't improve, maybe he could decide to go to free agency. But I also do think wouldn't the Bengals just franchise tag him? I mean, they could easily just do that.
But you also got to pay Jamar Chase, and then his markets
Yeah,
might be 30 million, right? And
I
then
mean,
T
that is
Higgins
true.
25. T
That
Higgins
is
is
true.
also
But I also think Burrow is probably more important than
yeah,
Jamar Chase. I mean, because it's just because it's the quarterback position.
right.
Um, So I think they would probably just franchise him. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely still a concern. I mean, the Jets, though, they're going to face, I mean, the Bengals are going to face better competition. They needed to get that win pretty badly.
Right.
Let's see how they do against some other better teams coming up here in the
Right.
schedule.
And also, I think the Eagles have been really impressive. The Eagles have been very impressive this year. They
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 look like
actually
a
may
Super
look
Bowl
like a
team.
yeah. They I could see them as a Super Bowl team. Um, the Lions. I'm not going to go as far and say that they are going to be the Cincinnati, like not the Cincinnati Bengals
No.
of this year, but they are much improved. I think their offense is better. They might be in the market for a quarterback like a Bryce Young or maybe someone else, or Will Levin, the guy from Kentucky, but or even maybe someone like him, but But the Lions look good. I think DeAndre Swift is one of the better running backs in the NFL. Amon-Ra
Yes.
St. Brown, if he stays healthy, he could be a very reliable target. And I believe they got DJ Chark. I believe they got pieces there. They got something to work with. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, you would imagine Devontae Adams would have helped that team, but is it a case of two college teammates reminiscing back in their college days and Derek Carr force feeding Devontae? Maybe, maybe not. But I mean, it's gonna be pretty fun to see. The AFC North does not look good this year. I'll put it that way. All these teams have
I
lost.
will agree with that. The AFC North, I do not think is that good of a division this year.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens next week. We'll recap the rest of week 3 and talk about week 4 um next week. Let's talk about MLB now. So we have Aaron Judge getting it was the chase for 62. I think that'll happen. Let's first talk about Albert Pujols hitting the 700. What are your thoughts on all that?
I'm just so excited for him, man. Someone who did it the right way. One of the greatest players of this generation, didn't really dope or anything, no steroids. Being only the fourth player to do it, especially in his last season when it looked like for a time that he wasn't going to do it, just nothing short of extraordinary to me. I'm so happy for him. Does it with his hometown team. Well, the team that, everyone really knows him for, even though he did play for the Angels. And
The
now he's made
Dodgers.
history and I'm so happy for him. Seeing how excited he was, even all the Dodgers fans there, because I think he also played for the
Yeah, he was
Dodgers.
for like half a season.
Yeah, so and seeing them so excited for him was great too. They didn't look like they were mad at all, but I'm so thrilled for him. He's able to be 4th on the all-time home runs list. Just great. I'm so happy.
Yeah, and I think for me, look, if the biggest thing that people have concerns about is, are you really 42 years old? Then I have no problem with it, because that has nothing to do with him being a baseball player. Um,
Mhm.
I thought, yeah, he is a first ballot. He is a Hall of Famer. If you
For
take
sure.
away the Angels debacle when he was with them, he is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's very good. And what were your thoughts? I wasn't a big fan of how the guy that got the person that got the home run ball just left the stadium. Like, they didn't
He's
go
good.
to,
He might try to sell it for a lot of money.
yeah, but I definitely think it's definitely very impressive. I don't think he'll get to Babe Ruth's record.
No.
Maybe he gets to 705. No, maybe he gets to 705, but that's a stretch. But but good on him. Aaron Judge, he's gonna break Roger Maris's record. What, one home runs, or do you think it's
Say that again. You're breaking up a little bit. I don't know.
what do you think is the true home run record? Roger Maris or Barry Bonds?
Um, I think American League it should be Barry Bonds. I mean for Roger Maris, at least for the American League record. I think for
Yeah,
overall,
it is the record. Yeah,
it should be
for
Barry
American.
Bonds overall. For the American League, though, I would say Maris has the right one. I know Bonds doped. I know he took steroids. I mean, I still think he's a Hall of Famer even well before that. He has the
Yeah,
most all-time home runs anyway. But I think if we're talking strictly American League, it belongs to Maris. Um, I'm super excited for Judge. It's funny, uh, um, he basically I don't know if it deep left the show. He'll probably text me in a sec. Oh, here he comes back. There you are. You must have did you come back out or something?
no, I think it just paused for a little bit. I don't know the issue, but yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, I mean, he hit his 60th the other night. It was actually on the 1 month anniversary of my granddad's death. And funny enough, he was a diehard New York Yankees fan growing up. So I feel like fate had that happen right then. And then next night, he misses 61 by an inch. Hasn't gotten it yet after that, but there's always tonight on Sunday Night Baseball. He's the Maris family, I think, is in town to watch him.
And then
Try to
Bonds is gonna be on the A Rod and Michael K. A Rod and Michael K. cast.
Oh, that should be fun. Yeah, so he'll get to be there for that. The Roger Mayer, I think a few of his
Yeah.
sons are in town at the Bronx to try to watch Judge break their dad's record, or at least tie it tonight. So, and it's going to be any day now that record is broken. And, good for Judge because he's going to make a lot of money off that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is pulling a Joe Flacco. He bet on himself. He now looks smart for not taking 30 million a year. So that's great. I think it's Barry Bonds' record. I think that is the true American League record. I think that if McGuire or Sammy Sosa had that record, I would say it's Roger Maris, because of what you just said. Barry Bonds, take away the steroids, had a Hall of Fame career, especially when he was with the Pirates. And because of that, I think that his record is legitimate. So I also think there's a little New York bias. I mean, it's the fact that it's a Yankee that has this. Roger Maris played for the Yankees, which is when he got the record, which is why people kind of view that as a legitimate record. I understand people have their views on steroids, but it's definitely gonna be exciting for him to watch, to see him try to get to that 62. I hope he gets to that 62 before Friday, because that's when Yankees play Baltimore. Um, but I think that it's gonna be interesting. What else was it? I mean, yeah, he's definitely gonna make the money, but I mean, it's gonna be fun to watch. I don't think I don't think these are records that are going to be tough to break. I think I texted you this, right. The next closest guy is to 700 is Miguel Cabrera, and he's
Yeah,
not
you
going to hit
did.
190. He's not going to hit 196 home runs in next 2 years. So and then you got what else? You got I believe Nelson Cruz is the next guy at 400 something. He's not getting to 700. Maybe Mike Trout if he sticks
Yeah,
around.
that's a good point. Yeah.
So it's gonna be tough. Yeah. So then, before we go to the Virginia Tech game, I've been keeping track of the Orioles Astros. I mean, first of all, the Orioles pitching has been was dominant from Wednesday to Friday. I think they pitched 26
Mhm.
2/3 of an inning, only 1 run, 9 hits. And by the way, Thursday and Friday they went up against the Houston Astros. So best team in the American League, and they went 18 and 2/3. It was 17 and 2/3 or somewhere in that range. Right now, it is a 1-1 game. They're about to go to extras. If the Orioles win this, they're going to take 3 out of 4 from Houston. And a month ago, they took 2 out of 3. So clearly, they have the Orioles have the Astros number. So let's go to Hokies football. Unfortunately, they lost to West Virginia. Um, I I think I know you were watching the Browns Steelers game around the same
Yep.
time. So
Yeah.
what were your thoughts on the game on the Virginia Tech game?
Yeah, I mean, good start. You're down 3-0, but you come back and take the lead 7-3. You're honestly having a pretty decent first half. I think, towards the end, you're still up, but then a couple of really costly mistakes. I don't mind going for it on that 4th-and-1 call, if you remember, but
Yeah,
why are you going out of shotgun? Please, coaches, stop going out of shotgun on 4th and short. It is, you are big bringing in it for no reason. Go under center, QB sneak it, do a halfback dive, something like that. I am tired of these coaches going out of shotgun formation on 4th and short. It literally is 4th and 6 in that situation. That's what it is. That is literally what it is. It's just galaxy brain it for no reason. Again, just really stupid. Also, I think, this game kind of shows just how far Virginia Tech still has to go. West Virginia is an average Big 12 team. They're fine, right? Nothing special. But when you have superior talent on their team taking over against a team like Virginia Tech, who probably should have at least equal level talent, that's a problem. And I know Justin Fuente left the cupboard very bare here. I get it. But, you know, it's going to be a long rebuild. I'm tired of the penalties. That is unacceptable to have that twice in 4 games now. I want to see improvement in that area. Tackling also has to be better. I'm not going to say this team is poorly coached because it's only been 4 games, but I do think in certain areas, there are certain units that need to be better, like the offensive line. It is a horrible unit. Joe Rudolph, one of the best offensive line coaches in the country, he definitely has his work cut out for him with that. But, this team has a long way to go to get back to even being remotely competitive. When you're losing to West Virginia of all teams, who gave up 55 to Kansas. And no disrespect to Kansas. I know they've had a better year this year, but it's Kansas. And you only score 10 points against them. That's a problem to me. And, you can beating Wofford's one thing, beating Boston College is another, those two teams or whatever. But, when you're still losing to ODU and getting blown out by West Virginia, I think at least a competent VT team could be 4-0 right now. That just goes to show how far off the team really is, and just that Brent probably has his work cut out for him.
I think it's stubbornness. I think the reason they lost the game is stubbornness. Like,
Mm.
Louis Riddick was saying this multiple times. Like, if you when you watched the game, and when you saw the games, like, and when you saw the perimeter play, when you saw the runs to the ends of the field, when you saw the throws, Virginia Tech was moving the ball down the field. They were moving it really well. It was just that they would do the attack the middle of the field over and over and over again, and you got neutral plays every single time. And those are drive killers. You want to move the ball forward, but the problem is at some point, and this is I think Tyler Bone should have realized this. At some point, he should have realized they have a great front set. Like their front seven was doing a good job of holding down that area of the field. Their outside, their corners, they were not doing a good job on the outside on the perimeter. Attack the perimeter and force them to put more guys on the perimeter and then go and run the ball. Because I remember it was frustrating seeing them what they were doing there, because I noticed just a couple times they would have Gallo and they would have 86, and I forgot, it might have been 88. They would they would both run onto the right side of the line, and I was just thinking, all right, great, okay. Oh, they're both in motion. Okay, it's going to be a power run. It's going to be a power run up the middle, and every single time I was figuring out, yes, it's a power run up the middle, right? And I think it's like the predictability of some of these power runs. I understand you need to establish the run game, but you're right, the offensive line wasn't getting the force it needed to get, and I think that's what part of the reason it cost them. Um, they definitely need to get more turnovers. They definitely need to put more pressure on the on the pass on the quarterback. The penalties, if you've noticed, the ODU game, 15 penalties and they lost. If you noticed the West Virginia game, we can talk about the Dax Holyfield one. We could talk about that all day, whether that was roughing the passer or not.
For sure.
But the second one, that extended drive, that was on the defense. And I think that if I'm Brent Pry, I'm pointing out, play disciplined football, and we should be able to be in good position to win. And then I'm also telling Tyler Bowen, if I'm Brent Pry, know which areas of the field you're having success in, and keep attacking that area. If it doesn't work, if the run game doesn't work up the middle, then do zone read. If if the perimeter play doesn't work because they're hugging the edges, then attack the middle of the field. It's as simple as that. And sometimes coaches, it just looked like they were stuck. Like Brent Pry wanted to prove a point, and it wasn't going to work. And unfortunately, the ego and pride kind of hurt. Now, does Brent Pry deserve all the criticism of no, he shouldn't. Like, it's his second game. Like, you're right. He wasn't given a lot of talent. It's going to be a year or two, and let's see what happens. I mean, North Carolina, UNC's defense isn't very good. Let's put it kindly, UNC's defense isn't very good, so you have a good chance there. And then Miami, I don't know what the heck happened with Miami. So it is going to be really interesting to see what happens there. Are you listening? Are you there? Yeah, I think he's disconnected for a little bit here. Okay. All right. Hold on. And
keep rolling.
Yeah,
sorry,
no problem. No, but what I was basically saying is that
my laptop died.
Yeah. So basically, what I was just saying is that the defense, like, they do have easier matchup. Like, the good thing is that they beat Boston College, so they're 1-0 in the ACC. They got a couple of good. They're going against a UNC team that doesn't have good. Like, how do you think that? What do you think they should do against UNC in general?
I mean, you got really attack their defense. They have one of the worst defenses in the country. If you can't score 20 plus at least on them, that's the problem. But I'm tired of them running between the tackles. I want them to do some stuff to the side a little bit, attack the middle of the field, also do some concepts out deep. I just don't want such a very vanilla offense. This team has playmakers. I know Malachi Thomas is not in the lineup yet. He should be coming back soon, but this team does have some playmakers like Judon Blue, Caleb Smith. You've got to get the ball in their hands. Grant Wells, he has the arm to do it. They just got to call concepts to get the ball in their hands and, attacking this UNC defense. Because UNC, again, they're not good. I really don't think they're that good. So It's probably going to be a shootout next week, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna be thing there. I mean, so we'll next week we'll recap. No, actually, I believe we might we'll talk if we record on Saturday, because I believe the game's at 3:30, so we might talk about some of the other stuff and just kind of occasionally go. We'll we'll figure it out when we get to it next week, but we'll end the show there. Yeah, we'll end the show there. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back either next Saturday or Sunday, depending on how we. All right. Yeah, so we'll see you guys next week.
Yep, sounds good. We'll see you all next week.